Hey everyone, welcome to another objective review. Today we are going to be reviewing something slightly different. It's not an app, but it's a goodness of hardware. We are going to be taking a look at the new iPad Pro. The iPad Pro launched sometime in the last quarter of 2015. Unfortunately, we still don't have it in India, so no iPad Pro, no smart keyboard cover or the Apple Pencil. So I had to source my iPad Pro from somewhere else, and I used it for a good week or so before I came down and wrote my first impressions about the hardware. First up, let's take a quick overview of the entire hardware and get this bad boy. As almost with all Apple products from the year 2015, the iPad Pro as well comes wrapped in a matte finish paper, which kind of looks oddly good on the new hardware, which has the chamfered edges, especially this iPad Pro. You have the usual USB plug charger, as well as the lightning cable and the booklet that tells you how to use an iPad if this is your first iPad. And I don't remember seeing any Apple stickers this time, but hey, no one's complaining. Now I opted to go just for the smart cover instead of the cover with the keyboard, because I already have a Bluetooth keyboard that connects very well with the iPad. Well, it's actually the Apple's Bluetooth keyboard, and I didn't want the cover with the keyboard for a very specific reason. I don't want it to feel like a laptop when I didn't want it to. So if I bought that cover, I'd essentially have to be carrying it around with a keyboard, which I may not want every single time. Now the smart cover as well, as always, is very properly made with a nice neat fabric texture on the inside, which kind of keeps your screen clean, but well, it just covers the screen itself, so your back is bare and still prone to damage. One thing with which Apple surprises me every single time is how they get the text engraved in there, which is so small yet very properly legible. Another thing worth mentioning here is that the magnets inside the cover, which is in the hinge of the cover, these are really strong. I can literally lift the iPad Pro by just holding the cover with it just stuck to the iPad with tiny magnets on the hinge, and that just keeps blowing my mind every single time I do that. The top of the cover, just like the screen of the iPad, is very prone to fingerprints, so you might as well make it a habit to constantly keep cleaning it with a microfiber cloth or whatever works for you. And as you can see, even with cover on, the iPad Pro manages to maintain its really small footprint and makes it really portable and very easy to carry in your backpack. You are ever carrying it outdoors for meeting or just if you want to work out of a cafe. Now let's take a quick look at the other hardware features on the outside on the iPad Pro. The very first thing I noticed was the absence of the mute switch, which kind of tossed me around for a bit, and I kept fumbling around the volume rocker. Now moving to the other side, we have the same old power switch, but this time we have also two speakers, and I'll get more into that in a bit. Further down, we have the new smart connector, which Apple's own smart cover keyboard uses. Now on the remaining side, which has your lightning port, there are two more speakers. So as you can tell, there are total 4 speakers on this iPad, and this is the first iOS device Apple has made that has stereo sound. So no more mono sound. Thank you, Apple. Now the longest part of getting the iPad Pro up and running was transferring all the data and apps from my iPad Air, which is quite painful given that the iPad Pro actually has a USB 3 interface, but Apple only includes a USB 2 cable. Well, what gives? Now coming to the software, I was mostly excited to try out split screen mode on the iPad Pro given its massive size, and that is the very first thing I did when I got the iPad in my hand. I used the apps that came pre-installed, and that's the first thing I tried. Believe me guys when I say this, it is brilliant. Not perfect yet, but it's brilliant nonetheless. Now the iPad Pro comes with Apple's latest A9X chip, which is incredibly fast. If you haven't seen the Geekbench scores yet, I'm going to link a couple down in the description. You should go check them out. It should just tell you how fast this is, and all the multitasking gestures on the iPad Pro are buttery smooth. Now when I tried split window mode on my brother's iPad Air 2, it was a bit janky. Let's be honest, that device cannot handle split screen mode, but on the iPad Pro, well, it is buttery smooth again. Now just for comparison, I'm going to open up a couple of apps to show you what the sizes of the windows are in the two modes in landscape. First is the Nordic column and the other is the white column. Now the narrow column is comparable to the physical size of an iPhone 6s Plus, and the white column, well, it is as big as the iPad 2 and Air, etc. in portrait mode. So this is the standard setup for an iPad on my desk in my office, and I like it this way connected to the Bluetooth keyboard, because when I need to get up, I can just get up, fold it up and walk out of the office and be on my way. No keyboards to fiddle with. Now what I was testing is writing in split screen mode with Safari on the left for all the references and Pages open on the right for the actual writing part. And I must say, this is a very one of my favorite part was to be able to quickly copy images from the browser and paste it in my document for reference material for whoever's going to be using or reading it, and just be on my way. No switching apps and all the fiddly stuff that we had to do before. So this is a very welcome feature in iOS 9. Towards the end of it, I was really happy at how efficient this process has become, and I just cannot wait to see what Apple does in iOS 10. The last test that I did on the iPad Pro was the drawing test, of course. The stylus I used was a simple regular old bamboo stylus that I was using with the iPad Air. Now I must say that I really do miss out on not having bought the Apple Pencil when I had the chance to. So now I have to wait till it launches in India to actually get it. Now when it does, I'm definitely buying it, because this part of the process is really not optimized for a regular stylus. I've used the Apple Pencil before and I really liked it, so can't wait to get that. Now the drawing part is mostly fine as long as you're drawing simple shapes and doing simple fill-in colors like I am in the video, but the moment it comes down to actually writing some text, well, that is where the Apple Pencil really shines. I'm sure by now you've probably seen a lot of the other unboxing and reviews of the iPad Pro on YouTube already, and as everyone keeps suggesting, the iPad Pro is not for everyone, and I most certainly do agree with all of them. So for someone whose work depends on features that are provided by the apps on the App Store, the iOS App Store, well, you can certainly get away with just the iPad Pro and perhaps the smart keyboard. If you don't want a Bluetooth keyboard, you maybe want a keyboard every single time you go out. If that's your thing, well, definitely get the iPad Pro. But if that's not the case and you need a very casual handheld computing device like a tablet, well, then get the iPad Air 2 or the new iPad Mini 4. Well, those will be perfect for you guys. And for all the illustrators out there, do definitely check out the Apple Pencil with the iPad Pro. Now, would I recommend this device? Oh hell yeah, I'm in love with it. Well, like this review if you liked it. You know what the other thing is, leave a comment down below, and if you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next week. Cheers.